The human exploration ship Odyssey was not supposed to be here. Captain Elias Rourke stood calmly on the bridge, hands behind his back, watching the stars stretch and bend outside the main screen. This was meant to be a simple test jump, a short experiment, nothing dangerous. Humanity had done this hundreds of times before. The crew felt relaxed. Some talked quietly. Others checked their screens. No one expected trouble. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across the bridge. The smooth jump became violent. The ship shook hard, throwing crew members against their seats. "Report!" Captain Rourke shouted. The navigation officer looked up, pale. "Sir, the jump went wrong. We're not in charted space." The stars on the screen were unfamiliar. Too many. Too bright. And something else was there, massive shapes moving slowly in the dark. Multiple contacts. "Sensor officer said." His voice was tight. "Large ships, not human design." Silence filled the bridge. Humanity had met aliens before, but never like this. These ships were huge, old, powerful. They moved with confidence, like they owned the stars around them. Captain Rourke leaned forward slightly. "Any communication?" Before the officer could answer, the screen changed. A symbol appeared. Sharp, alien. Followed by a voice deep, cold, and full of authority. "Unknown vessel," the voice said. "You have entered Imperial space. Identify yourself or be destroyed." The crew froze. Imperial space. That phrase was not in any human database. Captain Rourke did not panic. He did not shout. He simply nodded once. "Open a channel." The crew stared at him, shocked. "This is the human exploration ship Odyssey," Rourke said calmly. "We are on a scientific mission. Our jump malfunctioned." There was a pause. Then the alien voice returned, sharper now. "You will power down your weapons and prepare for capture." Some officers reached for controls. Others waited for orders. Captain Rourke raised one hand. "Negative." The alien ship shifted position. Weapons powered up. The bridge grew tense. "You refuse the command of the Galactic Empire?" the voice asked. Rourke frowned slightly. "We don't know who you are, and we don't take orders from strangers." Another long pause followed. On the alien flagship, commanders watched in disbelief. This small ship, this weak, primitive craft was talking back. They expected fear. They expected begging. They got none. "Humans," the alien voice said slowly, "you stand before the greatest empire in this galaxy. Kneel, and you may survive." "Captain." Rourke glanced at his crew. They were afraid but steady. He turned back to the screen. "With respect," he said, "we didn't come here to kneel." The alien ship's locked weapons. Energy readings spiked. One wrong move, and the Odyssey would be dust. The captain took a slow breath. "We will cooperate," he added, "but we will not surrender." The bridge went silent. The Empire commanders were stunned. No species had ever spoken to them like this. Finally, the alien voice replied, cold and offended. "Very well, humans. You will be escorted to the Imperial capital. There, you will learn your place." The screen went dark. As the alien fleet moved into formation around the Odyssey, the crew waited for orders. Captain Rourke allowed himself a small smile. "Looks like," he said quietly, "we took a very wrong jump." Outside, the stars burned bright, and somewhere in the heart of the galaxy, an empire had just met humans for the first time. The human ship Odyssey moved slowly through space, surrounded on all sides by alien warships. They were massive, dark, metal, sharp edges. Every ship carried weapons far bigger than anything humans had seen before. To the Galactic Empire, this formation was not protection, it was a warning. Inside the Odyssey, the crew stayed silent. They watched the screens as the fleet guided them toward a glowing point in space. That's the capital, the sensor officer whispered. The Imperial capital was impossible to ignore. A giant ring-shaped structure circled a blue star. Thousands of ships moved in perfect order. Towers and platforms covered the ring like metal cities in space. This was power. Alien commanders watched the human ship closely. They expected shock, fear, awe, but the humans only observed. Captain Elias Rourke stood still on the bridge, eyes focused. He was impressed, but not intimidated. As the Odyssey entered the capital zone, a new signal arrived. Human vessel, the same cold voice said. You will dock at Platform 7. Any resistance will be punished. Understood, Rourke replied calmly. The alien officers listening frowned. The humans obeyed, but without submission. The docking bay was enormous. The Odyssey looked small. Inside it, Imperial guards waited, tall and armored, holding advanced weapons. The human crew was escorted into the Grand Council chamber. The room was vast and silent. Floating platforms held dozens of alien leaders. Each species looked different, but all were symbols of authority. At the center sat the High Chancellor of the Empire. Humans, the Chancellor said. You stand before the rulers of the galaxy. The humans waited for 10,000 cycles. The Chancellor continued, This empire has conquered stars, crushed resistance, and brought order to chaos. Holograms appeared, worlds burning, fleets destroyed, civilizations kneeling. This is our power, the Chancellor declared. The Council watched the humans closely. Still no reaction. No fear. No admiration. Captain Rourke finally spoke. That's a long history. Murmurs spread across the chamber. The Chancellor narrowed his eyes. You do not seem impressed. Rourke tilted his head slightly. We've had wars too. We just try not to brag about them. Silence. The Empire's pride was wounded. You are weak, one general said sharply. Your ship is small. Your numbers are few. You exist because we allow it. Rourke met the general's gaze. We didn't ask for permission. That was a mistake, or so the Empire thought. The Chancellor raised a hand. Enough. Humans, you will submit to inspection. Your technology will be studied. Your intentions judged. The humans exchanged brief looks. We have nothing to hide, Rourke said. But we don't belong to anyone. That answer disturbed the Council. As the humans were escorted away, Imperial scientists rushed toward the docking bay. They were eager, confident, curious. These humans will learn humility, one scientist said. All newcomers do. From the observation deck, the High Chancellor watched the Odyssey in silence. Something about the humans felt wrong. They were too calm, too controlled. As if they already knew how this would end. And deep within the Empire's vast capital, unseen systems began scanning the human ship, unaware that they were about to discover something the Empire was not ready to face. The Imperial Science Division was confident. As the human ship Odyssey rested inside the docking bay, dozens of scanning beams activated. Machines older than human civilization began to study every inch of the ship. Imperial scientists watched their screens with calm smiles. Primitive design, one scientist said. Simple hull, no advanced weapons. Another nodded. This will be quick. But then the data stopped making sense. Energy readings changed without warning. Systems showed numbers that refused to stay still. Some scans returned blank results. Others contradicted each other. That's strange, a technician muttered. Run the scan again. They did. The same problem appeared. This section shouldn't exist, one scientist said, pointing at a diagram of the ship's core. The materials bend energy in ways we don't understand. A senior scientist frowned. Impossible. Increase scan depth. The machines hummed louder. Then alarms rang. Scan feedback. A technician shouted, "Our systems are overheating." Screens went dark one by one. Silence filled the lab. The lead scientist stepped back slowly. "Shut everything down. Now." Too late. A burst of light flashed across the room. Consoles sparked. Data cores shut themselves off to avoid damage. The human ship had not fired a weapon. It had not reacted at all. Yet the Empire's best scanners had failed. Across the capital, reports reached the High Chancellor. "What do you mean the scan failed?" The Chancellor asked coldly. "We cannot fully read their technology." The scientist admitted, "Some systems seem designed to resist observation." The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. "Are you saying they hid it?" "No," the scientist replied slowly. "It's worse. They built it that way." Meanwhile, aboard the Odyssey, the human crew noticed the Empire's activity. "They're poking the hull again," the engineer said calmly. "Scans are bouncing off." Captain Elias Rourke nodded. "As expected? You're not worried?" A junior officer asked. Rourke shook his head. "If they could understand our systems, we'd already be in trouble." In another chamber, Imperial military leaders gathered. "These humans pretend to be weak," one general said. "But their ship resists our scans. This is deception." "They insulted the council," another added. "They refused to kneel." A third slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Then we teach them fear." The plan was simple. A controlled show of force. A small patrol fleet would pressure the human ship. Not destroy it, just scare it. The High Chancellor hesitated for the first time in centuries. "Do not underestimate them," he warned. "Something about these humans is unfamiliar." But pride spoke louder than caution. The order was given. Back. On the Odyssey, warning lights appeared. "Multiple Imperial ships approaching," the sensor officer reported. "Weapons charging, but not lethal. Yet." The crew looked to their captain. Rourke took a slow breath. "They're testing us." "Should we respond?" the officer asked. "Not yet," Rourke said. "Let them see what they want to see." Outside, Imperial ships took formation. Energy weapons glowed. Power filled the space around the human vessel. Imperial commanders waited for panic signals, for surrender. For fear, they saw none. The Odyssey remained still. Quiet. Unimpressed. As the Empire prepared its lesson. One truth became clear: the scans had not failed by accident. They failed because humans had learned long ago, the safest weapon is the one your enemy cannot understand. Imperial patrol ships surrounded the human vessel Odyssey in perfect formation. They were smaller than the Empire's main warships, but still powerful. Enough to destroy most fleets in seconds. Energy weapons glowed along their hulls, ready to fire at a single command. Inside the Imperial command ship, officers watched carefully. "Begin pressure maneuver." The fleet commander ordered. A warning beam fired across space, missing the Odyssey by a small distance. The message was clear. Surrender. Inside the human ship, "They want a reaction." Up from her console, "Shields are holding at minimal power." "Should I increase them?" "Not yet," Rourke replied. "Let's not show off." The Imperial fleet moved closer. Another energy blast flashed, closer this time. Space itself seemed to shake. On the Empire's command ship, an officer sneered. "They're frozen with fear." But that was not true. On the Odyssey, shields quietly strengthened, adjusting without bright lights or dramatic displays. Power flowed smoothly, controlled, precise. The third blast struck. It hit the human shields directly. Nothing happened. Energy spread across an invisible barrier and vanished. Like water hitting solid glass. Imperial sensors blinked. "That's impossible," an officer said. "That weapon should have pierced their hull. The commander frowned. Increase power. A stronger shot followed. Again, it failed. Inside the Odyssey, the crew barely noticed the impact. Shield stable, the engineer said. Energy absorbed and redirected. Captain Rourke folded his arms. Send them a message. A comm signal. Went out. Please stop, Rourke said over the channel. You're wasting energy. Silence. Imperial officers stared at their screens in disbelief. They're mocking us. One hissed. No, the commander said slowly. They're warning us. Anger replaced caution. All ships, the commander ordered, full power. Weapons flared brighter than before. This time, the attack was real. The Imperial fleet fired together. Space lit up with fire when the light faded. The Odyssey was still there. Untouched. Not even drifting. The shield shimmered once, then settled. On the human bridge, no one cheered. No one smiled. This is getting dangerous, the navigation officer said quietly. Rourke nodded. They don't know when to stop, but we will protect ourselves. The Empire heard something new in his voice, not fear, not pride, but certainty. Imperial commanders began to hesitate. These shields. An officer whispered. They didn't even flare. They're not using maximum power, another realized. They're holding back. The fleet commander felt a chill. Cease fire, he ordered. The weapons powered down for the first time. Imperial ships backed away from a target. High above. In the Grand Council chamber, the High Chancellor received the report. They resisted a full patrol attack, an advisor said. Without effort. The Chancellor closed his eyes briefly. They are not weak, he said. They are controlled. Nodded once. Good. Outside, the Galactic Empire faced a hard truth. The humans had strength, but they did not need to prove it, and that frightened the Citzentu Empire more than any weapon ever could. The Imperial fleet slowly pulled back, for the first time in its long history. The Galactic Empire had stopped an attack without victory. Silence ruled. The High Chancellor stood at the center, looking at the image of the human ship Odyssey. They did not strike back, he said quietly. They did not threaten us, an advisor nodded. They defended themselves and nothing more. That worried the Empire more than open aggression. Most species show strength to gain respect, another counselor said. These humans hide it. The Chancellor turned. No, they control it. Orders were sent across the capital. All offensive actions against the humans were canceled. Observation only, on the Odyssey. The crew watched the Imperial ships retreat. They're backing off, the sensor officer said. No weapons charging. A soft breath of relief moved across the bridge. Captain Elias Rourke remained calm. Good. That means they're thinking. The Empire opened a final channel. Human vessel, the High Chancellor said. His voice was slower now. Careful. State your intentions. Rourke stepped forward. We want to go home. This jump was an accident. The Chancellor studied him. You could challenge us. Rourke shook his head. We don't need to. That answer stayed with the Council. The Empire allowed the Odyssey to prepare its jump. No escorts. No chains. Only watchers. As the human ship powered up, Imperial scientists monitored every signal. Still, much of the technology remained unreadable. They could be hiding weapons, one officer warned. They could, the Chancellor replied. Or they could be honest. The Odyssey turned slowly, aligning with open space. Before jumping. The message was not a threat. It was a rule. Then the human ship jumped. Stars stretched. Space folded. And the Odyssey was gone. In the council chamber, no one spoke. The High Chancellor finally broke the silence. Record this encounter, he ordered. Classify humans as a controlled power. An advisor hesitated. Hostile? The Chancellor shook his head. No, worse. The advisor frowned. Worse? They are not impressed, the Chancellor said. And they are watching. Across the Empire, commanders reviewed the encounter again and again. A small ship. Calm voices. Unbreakable defense. No pride. No fear. This was not how empires were challenged. Far away, the Odyssey returned to human space. The crew began filing reports. Scientists argued. Admirals asked questions. Captain Rourke finished his log with a simple sentence. First contact complete. Empire encountered. No threat detected yet. In the quiet of deep space, a new truth settled in. The galaxy had empires. The galaxy had wars. But now, the galaxy had humans, a species that did not seek to rule, did not rush to fight, and was never impressed by power alone. And somewhere, deep within the Galactic Empire, fear began to grow, not of invasion, not of destruction, but of the day humans might finally decide they were done watching.